Jealousy is the single most misunderstood and underutilized emotional experience to deepen intimacy and develop trust in our relationships. Oh shit, we just tried that. It's awful. I feel terrible. I'm extremely jealous right now. That was not pleasant in any way. And I need these kinds of support and affirmation from you. Are you available for that right now? Boundaries aren't walls. Boundaries are just the edges of our comfort zone. They're actually designed to be pushed consensually and in a safe container in order to grow.
Welcome to Beauty in the Break. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Ally Iseman. She is a relationship coach, a writer, a speaker, and a founder of the inclusive relationship education platform. Girl, this is what we need today, okay? This is what we have, why we have you on the show. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm here for it. Let's go.
Let's go. I want to tell our beloved listeners that we have a real treat today because what Ally has agreed to do for us is a two-part series. So today's episode is going to be the three of us chatting with all of our burning questions, some of your burning questions about polyamory, non-monogamy, all of the things, all of the questions. And then next week, she is going to stay with us and she's going to do a coaching session with Cesar and I. She works with couples and she's going to coach us through these parts of opening our relationship that may have become sticky, that we want to work on, and show us really what it's like to work with a coach like Ally. So thank you for your generosity.
Oh my God, thank you for the invitation, because I just want to say I really appreciate it that we're getting to talk about and look at both sides, because I think it's so easy to go, oh, well, I listened to a podcast, now I know what this is.
Right,
and
exactly.
Jump right in, right?
And it's a little messy,
Yes.
and it can be, and there's a lot of questions that people have if this is something they're exploring, or even if they're not and they're just curious about it. Listen to the whole episode today, of course, and then also come back next week and listen to part 2, because I'm sure it's going to be very juicy. So we're so glad you're here. And can you just start us off with telling us what's beautiful in your world today?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think we get into these like very by rote, memorized, oh, hi, how are you? And we don't even listen to or really register that question. So I love what's beautiful in my world. I would say I'm really loving the opportunities that have been presenting themselves. I'm a writer by trade in a number of ways. I've been a screenwriter and also do a lot of written content, journalism, things like that. And I'm now actually stepping into writing my first book. And I have just gotten to be like nerding out in the incredible relationships and opportunities and introductions that have just come in through saying, yes, I'm starting this. Mm-hmm. It's an overused word, but I am so grateful. Yeah. I have been blown away. I am in true awe and appreciation for just the wonderful people in my life and the gift that I even get to be able to do this now. So yeah. I'm delighted in the beauty of that experience.
That is beautiful. I love that. Congratulations. I have actually been wondering, and all of the listening I have done and knowing you and studying you, I've been like, where's her book? So I'm excited that's coming. Start us off here with a couple of definition terms. Give us some terminology here. So I want to just ask you, what is monogamy?
Fantastic question.
We think we know the answer, but
yes.
I think you should give us the answer, your answer.
Well, and I love inviting definitions, because I think that's the root of so much conflict that I see, especially in couples, of they're saying the same words, so they think they're saying the same thing, and they actually have two completely different definitions of it, and they've never talked about it.
That's a good point.
So I love that we're starting here, and I love that we're starting with defining monogamy, because I think that's also a really easy one, because it's the socially accepted, script, right? Sure. So, well, I know what that is. I've seen it on TV. People talk about it. We don't have to have any discussions about what that means to you. But monogamy itself has even changed how we define it culturally, socially, has completely changed. Monogamy used to mean one romantic sexual partner for life. Now it means at a time. So that is a different definition. So it has changed.
I love the fact that constantly, like all things in this society, change. They evolve. Words change. Yes, collective societies change. Concepts change. It all has changed. Yeah. We hold on to the one little thing that we happen to be born in, and we think it's got to be the way. Yeah. When it changes, we get all upset about it. But it changed from where you were before you got here, Well,
it's uncomfortable, right? It's new. And we have a whole society built around avoiding discomfort. Mm-hmm. So change is innately uncomfortable, because change evokes the potential for growth. Growth is inherently uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. They're not called growing pleasures, right? Yeah. It's a little awkward. Yeah. So important to recognize.
Okay, so with one person at a time.
at a time.
Okay, got it. So then how would you define commitment?
Commitment would be, what do you show up for in integrity regularly? So consistency, for example.
Mhm.
I think a lot of folks confuse commitment with exclusivity as a synonym,
Right.
which is not necessarily the case unless you are committed to exclusivity and that's what you have agreed to in the context of your relationship. You can commit to that, but it's what are the things that you're showing up for in integrity consistently over time?
You think that needs to be defined between two people?
100,000,000%.
What does commitment look like to you?
Yes.
What does
What are you
commitment-
committed to?
Mhm.
What relationship are you available for? Because we're in relationship. I'm in relationship with you guys here right now in this conversation.
Mhm.
I'm in relationship with your listeners.
Mhm.
Like, we're always in relationship, and we give this weight to like, we're in a relationship. Oh my God, I'm not ready for a relationship. Fun fact, you're in one.
Yeah.
So what types of commitment or relating are you available for right now?
Yeah. It makes me think like when we first started dating, there is a commitment to each other. And then there was this other component of like, I come with 2 children and I wasn't necessarily asking my partner to be committed to my children. But then over time, that's something he kept expressing he wanted to commit to. I want to be there for them in these ways. And that doesn't look like cohabitating for us, but it looks like him showing up in other ways. And that has been something I think we have been defining and redefining as the relationships have grown.
Constantly. I would also say, in addition to that, is that very often, if people's definition of commitment or monogamy are so different, the real work is finding out how to get in accord with each other, how to get on track with each other to find the common ground, even though we won't ever see it exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Going
Right.
hand in hand, driving the same car, but still being in different seats,
Mhm.
nonetheless.
Mhm.
So the view is different, obviously,
Mhm.
but the goal is still to go that direction.
Which is why I think you talk a lot about staying curious
Yeah.
and
Well,
being.
the metaphor too of the car is
Yeah.
really, really great because I call it a relation trip,
Oh,
right?
cool.
We
Right.
treat it like relationship like a destination. Oh, we got the relationship.
Mhm.
We're together now. Like, we did it. We're there. We're done. Like, that's the beginning of the relationship. You're in that car or whatever vehicle of choice, you know,
Yeah.
and it's an ongoing conversation. And ideally, to your point, yeah, you stay curious in there. I see that the downfall of so many relationships of like, oh, I know my partner inside and out. This is like a marker of pride. I know what they're going to say. We finish each other's sentences. That's just called interrupting. You actually will never, ever know your partner front to back, top to bottom, inside and out, because they're constantly changing. They are constantly investigating who they are. What a beautiful gift to be unfolding with each other for however long you're together.
Yeah.
There's a part of us that I find that we want to do as humans. We constantly want to get a full understanding of a thing and put our hands around it and hope it doesn't change. As a Buddhist, we're taught that the exact opposite is what happens in life.
Yes.
Everything consistently changes. Why do we want that so much? Why do we want to know so much about our partner that we can put our hands on our hips and put our chest out and say, I know them forward and backward?
I'll come from a neurological perspective. Our brain's whole job is finding patterns and creating safety, right? Looking for threats, associating them, figuring out what, how we need to show up to protect ourselves, et cetera. So the known feels a lot safer than the unknown.
Yeah.
It's just a pure biological fact of evolution. Our body physiologically doesn't know the difference, for example, between like being trapped in a cage with a hungry lion or, getting up and doing your TED Talk. Same feeling. So that sense of known, right? If I have this known entity, I don't have to constantly be monitoring it as a threat and checking in. It feels safe, but it's mistaking that sense of known, or maybe like controlling the scenario or the person or whatever it is, as safety. Just because something is unknown or elicits that curiosity, creating agreements around it called the relationship is actually what creates that sense of safety. The relationship container ideally is a safe space to be uncomfortable in. To go, hey, I've learned this about myself. I want to talk to you about it. And I don't even know how I feel, let alone how you're going to react. And that's really scary. But we've created a relationship with agreements that say we show up and we ask questions. and we come from compassion, or whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that answer
Absolutely,
your question?
Totally.
absolutely.
And that has nothing to do with monogamy, non-monogamy.
exactly.
Like, it's just
No.
relationship.
Yeah, and in general, even outside
Yeah.
of a romantic relationship, it does beg the question for me in this context of the conversation we're having, how quickly we want to have the familiarity of this person, and in no way do we want to even imagine, quote unquote, sharing that individual. Just something simple as, why are you looking at that girl that way? Why or why is that guy flirting with her? Does she like it? The constant worry of, I'm going to lose this individual.
Yeah.
Multiple times I've told people about Foster and I's relationship, our consensual non-monogamous relationship. And I've heard a handful of times say, I couldn't imagine my partner being with somebody else. I wouldn't be able to handle my partner. There is a thing of that she is with me, but I don't own her.
That part.
That my partner is where the difference comes in. And I think this in industrialized society has kind of put this nuclear family in this way, and it's kind of helped us get to this point. But this break that we're seeing right now, pun intended for the name of the show, is finding itself in this society. And then because of social media, everyone's talking about it a whole lot more. And it's shaking things up. And yes, thank God to that too.
Yeah, I think what you're speaking to is, speaking of definitions of monogamy and relationship structures. So we're still coming out of the monogamy we were given, marriage as an example, right? We look at marriage now as this romantic, beautiful thing. It has nothing to do with romance. A marriage is a contract that has to do with assets, lineage, ownership, because marriage used to be ownership, transferring the ownership of a woman from her father to her husband. It had nothing to do with love. Sex was for procreation in that context. It was very common and normal for the man to have lovers. Don't get me started on women's expectations being different, but it comes from ownership. So of course we still have that built in. Of course there's that sense, but what we have now is a society where all genders are able to access credit cards, buy a house, all the things on, I won't say equal playing field, but the availability is there.
Right.
We are now able to build our own assets as women, have our own autonomy because of that.
Banks,
our own bank accounts.
The 70s.
Yeah. So
different conversation.
the social structure has changed. It no longer supports the relational structures that we were given.
And this is where you come in this category, this capacity, as the person who, or a person who can help usher this new understanding of the changing of times and culture.
Yeah, and it's modern relationship design, right? It's not about monogamy bad, whatever version of non-monogamy good. It's about understanding that relationship is a skill set, which means whatever you're interested in, whatever structure supports you best, that skill set you can get better at. So we can do this better.
Yeah, we can do it better. Yeah. So that brings into the conversation what I would like you to define, and in any order, however you like: ethical non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy, which are kind of two different terms, but you'll let us know the difference. And then polyamory. And I'm truly curious, the definition of the difference between those three.
Sure. So I love that you already right out the gate are ethical non-monogamy, or ENM, and consensual non-monogamy, CNM. You'll see them kind of used interchangeably, and to a degree, they basically mean the same thing. It's a family of relationship styles. What is inferred when you call it ethical non-monogamy, if it needs that precursor ethical, it infers that non-monogamy is essentially unethical otherwise. Like the base is unethical, but you can have ethical or unethical monogamy. And also who's getting to define what's ethical and what's not. Like, ethics change over time again as well. So consensual is more on target with, that's what it's about. Consensual non-monogamy is having some sort of relationship with multiple people simultaneously with the full knowledge and informed consent of everyone involved.
That's such a better title.
I like it more. I think it's more on point.
Yeah. Again, like you said, ethics change over time, but consensual is saying that the people that are involved in this are in agreement and aware. So no matter where you are in time of whatever the culture is saying is the way, quote unquote, whichever way it is, the people involved have agreed to it.
Yeah. Because I would wager, I would offer that the majority of folks who identify currently as monogamous are most likely in some version of non-consensual monogamy, where think about it, in order to give consent, you have to actually A, understand that there's options so that you have an actual choice, and B, understand the actual thing you're agreeing to. And if we're not ever talking about, hey, here's my expectations in monogamy, this is what it means to me, et cetera, we're just assuming that we have the same definitions and understandings, and we're getting into this non-consensually, because again, we haven't talked about what this agreement is. And then we get started on, unethical non-monogamy, which is what a majority of people are actually in the monogamy space.
Exactly. So this is bringing into the Megan Thee Stallion of it all lately, which is right. Clay Thompson turning the idea of cheating on his partner into actually I'm just non-monogamous, but it wasn't consensual with the parties involved. And so therefore she drew that boundary real hard.
I fully support her decision.
Yeah, I guess.
Let it be known.
That's what we'll say. So can you just say though for us how polyamory is different or similar to those concepts?
Absolutely. So think about ENM or CNM, whichever you prefer to use, as sort of equivalent to the word sandwich. And then within sandwich, you can have hoagies, you can have tuna melts. There's a lot of different kinds of sandwiches, right? But they're all sandwiches. Ethical non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy, it's like an umbrella term for a lot of different types of relationship structures, polyamory being one of them. Okay. So polyamory is basically the definition I just gave you, having multiple sexual and or romantic relationships with multiple people, simultaneously with the full knowledge and informed consent of everyone involved. Polyamory can be hierarchical or non-hierarchical. You can have, your primary relationship or your primary partner or partners, and then secondary, tertiary. We can get into the weeds if you want, but it's really just comes down to structures and how you identify. Polyamory breaks down like literal translation to poly, many, amory, loves. So many loves, the ability to love more than one person simultaneously.
Do you think consensual non-monogamy talks about the sex of it all, whereas polyamory talks about the love of it all, or is that not the right way to think about it?
I would say more non-monogamy, whichever precursor you use, is structure. Polyamory is one of those structures. Open relationships is another one. Monogamish is a term that Dan Savage popularized. Relationship anarchy is a term you'll hear too. That's not really structure so much as like a relational philosophy where it says why do we covet romantic relationships or sexual relationships? That's so much more important than our friendships and our family. We're like, why do we have that hierarchy? And it says, I don't do that. I apply the principles of anarchy to how I relate, wherein everyone has the same weight, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like a bigger overview. But if you think of it as like, again, non-monogamy is the umbrella, polyamory is one of the styles of relating within non-monogamy.
And I think when we start to talk about consensual non-monogamy, it's to your point of so many people are in non-monogamous relationships without their consent. Cheating is what we call it, but it's also but there's also, popularized on TV by one of Cesar's favorite shows, The Sopranos, and every other show, there is also like these understandings that he has people on the side and we don't talk about that. And there's like, there's all kinds of, and that's happened throughout history too, of like where men in particular are allowed, like you were talking about before, to have multiple partners, and that because they have the power, that's the way it goes. And the women in a cis partnership do not have that.
It's non-consensual.
That is non-consensual. Exactly.
It's more coercive.
There's a gray area for that. Because take example, the show, and I've seen this happen in real life as well. The woman knows the information, but doesn't want to think about it, doesn't want to discuss it, doesn't want to see it.
And where there hasn't been a full conversation about it. It's just something she's aware of and like everyone does. But it's not that they haven't had a container to sit down and go, well, these are the terms of our non-monogamous relationship.
Well, of course they haven't. They have a very, very unequal distribution of power in that relationship. Because inherently what it all breaks down to is power dynamics, right? We're always in a power conversation, right? So I'm sitting here on your show. There's a power dynamic here, right? There's a power dynamic between you two in your relationship. Power dynamic here, two women, not a woman. So there's always power dynamics at play. There's nothing wrong with power dynamics. It's about not having the ability for whatever reason, whether socially, financially, what have you, or physical safety, depending what's going on in the relationship, to assert that autonomy. Now in society, again, like we spoke about earlier, women have a good bit more autonomy because we have access to assets, social status, we can claim our own property, et cetera, et cetera. So we have the ability now to show up at the table in a different way.
Yeah.
Without that power being acknowledged and distributed differently, it's a totally different conversation if there even is one.
Yeah.
There's a high rate of adultery in this society, a signal that more people should be polyamorous?
I want to be very delicate on how I answer that question. So I want to be very clear that infidelity has far less to do with sleeping with or dating other people than it has to do with truth-telling and honesty. It says a lot more about our lack of relationship skill and learning how to build a relationship mutually as a container where are you a partner that is safe enough for your partner to come to and say, I'm finding myself attracted to other people without you blowing up and making it mean a bunch of other things? Are you a confident enough partner in your relationship to say, I recognize that I haven't been as attracted to you and I want to work on that, or whatever million conversations that people aren't having and need to. And instead, it feels, for whatever reason, like it might be easier to just go on the side, just, not deal with it. I got to tell you, working with couples, trying to come back from infidelity, things like that, it is a lot more work that is also draining you of your integrity and other things going on to manage that whole side life, extra, whatever's happening, than to do the uncomfortable immediate thing of, I'm scared. I don't know what this is going to mean for us, but we need to talk about it. Yeah, that is very uncomfortable too, but I guarantee it's a lot less work ongoingly, and it will allow you to develop your sense of self and your own confidence and knowing of self. And that's really, to speak earlier about change, the only thing in some degree that doesn't change is your one life partner is you. You are your only life partner there from the beginning to the end. That is a constant. If you are not constantly developing that relationship, it's very easy to start doing things that just chip away at that, like infidelity.
Yeah.
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
Exactly.
Have
At
the conversation
what cost?
now.
That
Right.
immediate pleasure, right? At what cost?
Yeah. So let's say there is a couple who is currently consensually monogamous, but they're interested in opening up their relationship for a number of reasons, curiosities or anything like that. What would be the first step you would say to them? How would you guide them to begin this conversation?
Well, I want to make sure I'm hearing the question right, because you said they. So it sounds like they're both already interested.
Two people already interested.
Great.
Yes.
So, because it's a slightly different answer than if one of them is interested and wants to talk
We'll
about
answer that
their
too.
partner.
But let's go two people equally interested.
Honestly, it's still similar.
Okay.
Because the initial step is get curious. So I think it's very easy to go like, okay, we both want to try this thing. And this thing, opening up our relationship, whatever it is, again, it means whatever it means to us. And we're going to go to a sex party tomorrow, or we're going to get on Tinder or whatever field, or, and look for that third person. And we're just going to set that up. You have no idea what's available, how to build it in a sustainable way. You're going to bring up everything that hasn't been addressed in your relationship. So I would want to know why they want to open up. Super key is, are they moving towards something that's going to add to their relationship, or are they trying to move away from something and avoid something that's actually going on in the relationship? So those are two very different conversations, which is why, regardless, the first step is learn. Listen to some podcasts, There's so much content now, more than ever before. And just learn, soak it up as much as you can. The more questions you can find within yourself at this stage, the better.
Yeah.
Foster, how do you think we did on that when that came up?
On the learning part?
On the process, from where we started, from when the first weird, funny, silly conversation came up till today. How do you think we charted along that way? Did we skip some healthier steps?
I think we were. I definitely think we were working without a blueprint.
Yeah.
And I think that I probably not rushed, but I probably relaxed about certain things and didn't ask enough questions, and just sort of said, "Yeah, sure, why not? Let's try it." I think that we missed a few things there.
I think so too. And I also want to say that you and I both had the really good intention of waiting a month or so until we started even making an app
Mm-hmm.
or anything because we just talked a lot. It started off as a
Mhm.
joke,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would just check in on each other a little
Mhm.
bit. And like, I remember at some point I was like, okay, hang on, girl. What are you actually saying here?
That.
Is this something
What
that
does
we
this
want to
mean?
take a step
Yes.
forward?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have a blueprint, but I had been in 2 open relationships
been.
before.
Correct.
And I had pieces of what worked
Mhm.
and pieces that didn't work, that I know
Mhm.
didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of came in with that, but it was not a blueprint. It was cut pieces of a blueprint. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this maybe is a window. Perhaps this is a front door. I think this is what I know is what I got. And I think we did that sort of well with the minimal amount of information that we had.
Yeah.
Usually long-winded here, but praise goes to you because you like leaped in and found like a book and a website and all this stuff. And you came back to me with all these phrases. And I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to like, stick my dick into something. I don't understand this thing,
Gonna learn a whole new language?
My
Come
gosh.
on.
But it was super beneficial in that way.
I also think what did work for us was that we looked together, like we made a field account together and we looked at people together. And that was our big curiosity of like, we had some initial boundaries about gender and sort of gender expression for each of us. And then we looked at people together and we got really curious of like, what do you find attractive? What do you
Oh,
find
beautiful.
attractive?
It was great.
And
Yeah.
it's so different because we were looking at men for him and women for me. I should say inclusive of trans women for you as well.
Yeah.
And it was such a different thing because I only know your exes and I know some of the men that you've been with, but like I don't know what is attractive to you about who, and I got to like say, oh, why this? Oh, that's so interesting because
How
that's so
fun
different
is
from me.
that? You're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
That's
If I
so
may
fun.
say, it was phenomenal.
It was really fun.
phenomenal. I, in particular, have a high sex drive, and my attraction is very, very broad, but still with like these deep specifics. And so Foster came from the other side of the sexual lifestyle and everything. So it was hard for me I knew to not just dump everything on her. And so I would kind of check in with her. How does this feel for you? How does that feel for you?
Nice.
But when I would get her expressions of her excitement, what's the phrase? Compersion.
Mm-hmm.
When I would get that from her, I felt like the most seen version of myself. It was great. It was really great from my
Beautiful.
perspective. And I had been spending the last year and a half kind of holding that shit to myself.
Mm.
And I'd been happy to be completely monogamous to you. And if you ever wanted to go back to it, I'm like, great, let's do that. But there's still that part of me that's like, I just got to hold on to it for the remainder of my life, perhaps, and verbalize it. And I found other ways to get it out. But
can you tell us a little bit about compersion?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's an unknown vocabulary word for a lot of people.
Well, and I want to preface, so you may hear a handful of very new words. It may feel like it's all like too much when you're first exploring this space, or maybe you're just listening to this podcast and going like, oh, like I don't want to learn a new language. I just want to get my dick wet, or whatever it is. And first of all words are made up. Every single one that you use. Every single one.
Hey, sorry to cut you off.
Sorry.
Can I just take a moment to talk about how it's all made
Literally.
up? Grammar. I'm a huge fan of words. I love vocabulary. And let's stop being grammar police because words evolve.
It is so true. I'm a word nerd. The more language I get, but this is so great. I have new tools to communicate to you with because language is still rather limiting when we're talking about labels like polyamory, open relationship, monogamous, stuff like that. Those are labels, not identities. So it's a conversation starter, not the end of the sentence, right? Oh, you're non-monogamous. Okay, great. What does that mean to you? Are you currently partnered? Are you like, where are you at? What are you available for? It's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Not the end of the sentence. So to your point, words, compersion.
Yeah.
I love this one. It's basically empathetic joy. So the pleasure or joy you experience from your partner experiencing joy or pleasure with someone else. It is so wonderful. And it is something, I get the question a lot of like, oh, like I should be good at that. Or like I should, like if I'm not experiencing compersion, am I bad at poly? Or like something like, no, there's no required emotion.
Take the shoulds out.
Yeah, stop shitting on yourself.
Yeah.
And like you can, like anything, it is something you can develop, you can build. Some people are just naturally tend to it more so than others, just like any, emotional experience in relationships. So it's something that can be cultivated. It's something that can be platonic or sexual. It's something that can be erotic or not.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling of empathetic joy.
The comedian Nikki Glaser.
Yeah.
It's just recently
Oh, bless
there was a
her. She
whole
is
thing
all
that
out
came
and
out.
about.
She's dope. She's
I
so
am
dope. She's so
just
dope.
praise
She's
queen.
like funny, hilarious, focused,
Yes.
hot.
Oh, yeah, I'm a cuck queen.
Smoking hot.
Fucking
Oh my
yes.
God.
Yes.
And then on top of all of that, and please correct me, but what I've read was that she has the attraction of knowing that women want her husband. And so she allows her husband to go and be with these women.
She doesn't. Yes, I hate the word allow and
Oh,
share.
thank you.
We'll get all into that,
Thank
but I
you.
know what you're saying.
No, please, actually, if you can just correct me right here, please, so people listening can know.
They have an agreement, a very clear conversation that they've had and continue to have because she has identified a turn on for herself, which is the term, cuckold or cuck queen. She really likes either watching or knowing about her partner with somebody else, and that can range so much from like fantasy of like let's role play this dynamic in our minds, or let's, I want to watch you watch porn, or let's, scroll through an app and you just tell me who you're attracted to, or I want to watch you flirt with people at a bar. There's so many versions of this. It doesn't have to equal, I'm going to watch you have sex with somebody else, or, go on a date and come back. There's so many ways to play with that turn on, but they've decided this is the current agreement that works for them to explore that. And she is so open about it. And I just like, girl, thank you. I don't know where the camera, girl, thank you. It's so beautiful. She's so empowered. And it's at least from the outside seems like a really beautiful, like confident example of what relationship or relation trip is in the modern context. Yeah.
If compersion and that empathetic joy is something that you want, how would you cultivate more of that? Was that your question? Okay. Yes. How would someone do that? Like, I love that. I want that. I want that for my relationship. And like, I feel jealous. Or how do I get to the compersion part?
Well, then I would have a couple questions of, is the thing you want to feel just that compersion, or do you want to be turned on by whatever happens for you? Because you'll hear like compersion's the opposite of jealousy. This is like, I understand why people say that. As someone who has experienced compersion and jealousy literally simultaneously in a moment, I don't feel that opposite is the right descriptor. You can feel both. One is not better or worse. The easiest way to break it down, think of two planes, right? You have from compersion to jealousy, emotional plane. Compersion feels really good emotionally. Jealousy feels really not so good emotionally. Yeah. The other plane is arousal. It can be completely unarousing, have nothing to do with sexuality or eroticism at all, or it can be totally arousing. Both compersion and jealousy have the potential to be physically arousing. It's still emotionally yummy as compersion or emotionally not so yummy as jealousy, and it can turn you on.
And
does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah,
and for the people who are just listening, what you were doing was you were showing a line from, say, left to right.
Yeah, plane A.
Plane A. And then there was a line
axis.
From XY axis, precisely. People who were lower and higher, but not in a hierarchical sense.
No.
Just in an explaining. Okay.
I want to be really clear that the planes exist as a gradient, not as like a hierarchy. It's not like better to be compersive or jealous or aroused or not aroused. It's just what your capacity is. And so your question, how to practice it. So first I'd want to understand what actually are they looking for? Is this something that they want to take into their erotic practice? Or is this just like an emotional experience they're looking to cultivate? Because it's same, but different. And the real key is, what is the foundation? Are you in a secure place in yourself and in a secure place in your relationship? Right. Do you have a relationship where you can go, oh shit, we just tried that. It's awful. I feel terrible. I'm extremely jealous right now. That was not pleasant in any way. And I need these kinds of support and affirmation from you. Are you available for that right now?
Oof.
That is security. That is, holy shit, I'm spiraling. But I know our container is good, so I can ask for what I need. And my partner knows that they can give or not give whatever their capacity is at that moment. That is a secure relationship. That doesn't mean you never fight or, like you can get uncomfortable in your relationship because you're asking to grow. So innately, no matter what tactics you're using, you're going to get uncomfortable in this process.
Yeah.
You might hit jealousy, whatever else it is. And it's practicing cultivating that ability to hold discomfort. Yeah. So if there's somebody that is noticing, hey, I experience jealousy in this context, I'd like to practice experiencing compersion, I would try to find other areas that are less high stakes than sex, for example, to experience that way.
That's a good thought.
I want you to go and have a coffee with, I don't know, fill in the blank of what feels safe depending on where you're at in your relationship, your ex, your friend, something that's like slightly triggering but non-sexual, like those are clear with all parties involved. It's just a coffee, having a conversation. Then I want you to come home and tell me everything about it and tell me how it felt. I want you to describe your emotional experience. And of course, this is agreed to with both partners. The person being invited to a coffee doesn't need to know the nitty-gritty details of what you're going to be talking about, but it's just a coffee. We're just catching up. Like, everyone needs to understand, like, this is not opening a door if it's an ex, for example, or something like that. Ideally, you already have some sort of friendship with this person. But this is just an example, right? There's lower stakes ways to practice this.
I love that. Lower the stakes on whatever it is that's happening. And
that's not, we're going to a play party so I can practice conversion. No.
Right, exactly. Lower the stakes, keep it in a safe container for you, but still something that might be a little out of your comfort zone, and experience like what it's like. I think the fear sometimes is so much bigger than the actual experience of it. So if you can go through that and listen to your partner, this is what their coffee was like, it sort of demystifies a little bit sometimes, like what that our fear brain takes over when we go, oh no, they're gonna go have coffee with their ex,
and they're gonna sleep together and leave me.
And
like, there's no space in between.
All the way to the end of the fear.
Our brain is a monster finding machine. Like that's what it is, a meaning making machine. That's all it does. And it's going to find the worst case scenario possible because it's constantly trying to protect us.
And then prepare for that.
Yeah.
And we,
no matter how real or not it is.
And we're here because our ancestors were really good at that. And now we don't have those
for
big monsters. We thank them. And also those big monsters are not really here most of the day.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you were talking about something happened and now I'm actually jealous instead of having compersion, like totally the opposite of what I thought. And now I need to have like affirmation. And there's something I feel like we didn't do that great on. Do you remember?
Say more.
When I started to you started a relationship and I started to have some feelings of jealousy, but and I don't even know if jealousy was the most accurate word, but I had discomfort about moments of it. And I turned inward and was like, well, it's not fair of me to say that I'm uncomfortable now because I agreed to it. Like, he's not doing anything wrong. What is it?
Cool girl syndrome.
That's a pretty good archetype,
Right? And so
descriptive archetype.
And that was a real point of contention for us for a while. I think also your experience was like, wait, she's changing the narrative. Like she wanted this thing and now I'm in something and now she doesn't want it anymore. I'm so confused. Do you want to speak to your feelings at that time?
Yeah, that's a good amount of what it felt like. I started from the very beginning. This was a conversation that was brought up and nurtured by you. The entire relationship that we've kind of evolved into. And so for me, when we got to that stage where you started feeling those levels of jealousy, and you weren't speaking about it, but I could see it in your body language. I could hear it in your tone of voice. When we would text, we were talking consistently, but if I mentioned that person, you would answer less. And I can pick up on that. You're my partner. I can tell when the wind's blowing a certain way or not, for the most part. And it made me feel duped. It made me feel deceived is what it made me feel like. Because we've been walking this line together. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to do this. Yeah, cool. Yes. And then it wasn't. I was like, well, shit, what the hell do I do here? Where do I go? What do I do? Have I gone down this forest here and we've lost our breadcrumbs?
Yeah. And my experience felt equally shitty because I was like, I thought I was going to enjoy this. And there's parts of it I do and parts of it that I don't. And I agreed to the whole thing. So I've made some mistake now. So I'll just sit with it and not make it my partner's problem necessarily. But it obviously affected him too.
Yeah. I was just say there's a fine line between making it my partner's problem and bringing it to my partner to discuss and look at together.
Yeah.
That's what I see a lot of is to avoid our own discomfort. We throw it at our partner and go, instead of, hey, I'm not okay, we're okay, but I'm not okay. It's we're not okay because you, and then we've dispersed that discomfort rather than address it and hold it ourselves onto the other person. Now you're uncomfortable, so I don't have to deal with my stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, I'm uncomfortable. We're fine. We're okay. We're in the agreement here. We're learning things. This discomfort is teaching me something. I want to talk to you about it. I want to look at it with you.
Right. I had this conversation this morning about there's often people who will say things like, only positive energy, push out the negative energy. And I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. I think that we should be amalgamating these things to understand what's going on. And the more you amalgamate the negative side, the more you can find out, there's something that's to be learned from here. There's the gold out of the shadow, to quote Jung.
Yeah.
Is that safe? Is it safe to say that then having jealousy is okay and maybe even appreciated if it's felt?
There's a couple things I want to speak to in that. I'm with you on that. The massive eye roll and sigh with like only good vibes. Like
Right.
good and bad, assigning good and bad to emotions is such a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's an emotional range that we get to experience. There's the whole I'm not a, I'm too much, I'm a jealous person, or I'm not there's no such thing. You are a
Yeah.
person who has the capacity to whatever degree of experiencing emotions, including jealousy.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So yeah, and to answer your question directly, there's the good or bad of jealousy has nothing to do with the emotion itself. It's how do you process and how do you use it or not is more indicative, right? And it's not good, bad, very unuseful measures.
Sure.
Is it productive? Is it useful? Is it nurturing? Is there value in it that you've gained for yourself or the relationship, or ideally both? Like jealousy is a data point. It is simply information. It is showing you what's important to you. It's showing you maybe some needs that haven't been met in the relationship, and it's showing you your values. It's really important information, and we're all trying to avoid it. And this is my thesis of my first book I'll share here, called For the Love of Jealousy right now. Jealousy is the single most misunderstood and underutilized emotional experience to deepen intimacy and develop trust in our relationships.
Wow.
We are completely missing the boat.
I agree.
What does one learn from jealousy, or how do you see when you work with couples, how do you help them utilize that jealousy to grow and unearth something?
Yeah. So we look at, first of all, what are the triggers, of course, like we need to see where it's showing up. And then we determine if this is like a personal experience or a relational experience. So I like to break down jealousy into 4 main types of romantic jealousy. So you have insecurity. I'm noticing it's bringing up an insecurity about myself. You're in comparison or competition with whomever the other party or parties is. There's fear of abandonment, which is a really deep childhood wound. And then there's distrust, which if you think about it more like an insecurity in the relationship. So maybe there's a history of infidelity with one or both partners, or in that relationship even, or what have you. So identifying, again, is it personal? Is this an insecurity that's coming up for me? So I need to kind of look at, does this mean, okay, if I'm in comparison with this person they went on a date with, I've decided they have a better body than me, or whatever it is. Maybe that's bringing up an insecurity of, I don't feel in shape right now. I don't feel strong. I'll use my personal experience. So I had a lot of health challenges last year, and it prevented me from going to the gym the way that I used to be. I was emotionally eating a little bit more, and I was feeling really not fit, strong, not good in my body. And so those were some very real insecurities that were coming up for me. Is anyone wrong here? No. First of all, I've made up a story that very well no one else agrees with. But it's telling me, hey, I really miss going to the gym. I want to eat better and take better care of myself. I miss feeling strong. I miss feeling embodied. And that enabled me to start making the changes I needed to for myself. Because I can assure you, my partner did not agree with me, because I talked to him about it, of course. And this is not his thing to fix. It's just like, hey, I'm noticing this. As I'm going to be working on these things for myself, I'd love some extra like verbal affirmation or whatever that is. Are you available for that? Great.
Yeah.
Did that make it not like uncomfortable? No, it's horribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The jealousy doesn't stop being uncomfortable. You just expand your capacity to hold discomfort.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Could not agree more.
That's
The
so
abandonment
good.
part is a big one from my side, which I think we could talk about a
Very
lot
common.
later. 'Cause ever since we started having this relationship, I've started having dreams of her being like, "I'm done here. You're way too much. You're too weird. You're too whatever. I'm done." I have multiple dreams constantly, and I'm like, "Oh, I had none of those damn dreams again. Here we are." And you take the place of the woman in my life when I was growing up, who also left.
Yeah.
And the things that she used to do in the dream to me, now Foster does to me in the
Yeah,
dream.
we superimpose.
And it just keeps doing it.
What data can I find to support this story I've been telling
and
myself?
that's how I know, like, it's the trick. I'm like, oh, you're a trickster archetype. You're wearing a different mask, but you're the same trickster. In A Beautiful Mind, when the movie is about the guy who's a mathematician, John Nash, the famous mathematician who also has schizophrenia, and he can't make the determination on who he's seeing is real and who he is seeing is not real. And then he finally finds the clue, because 10 years have gone by, maybe even longer, and one of the figments of his psychosis never got older. She was 10 the entire time. And so he recognized the trick, and he said, oh, that's the trick that's in there. That was my way into realizing, oh, this is the trick, because you're just showing up in different faces.
Script hasn't changed. Same
Got
stuff,
it. Welcome again. Okay, got it. You got a little of a clown makeup on my shirt here from grabbing me all the time, but no. We're not falling for that again. That abandonment's a huge thing for me, which I think we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a question about when you're opening up a relationship, right? Okay. And you're at the beginning stages and there's an agreement that's made and both people are going forward, dating other people, and maybe bringing some of that information back or not. How do you stay connected to your primary partner and feel cherished and supported in that relationship when all this newness is happening?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a common one, right? We get sucked into what's called NRE, new relationship energy. It's very
Right.
exciting. It's novel. We're discovering a new person and maybe new parts of ourselves. And then if we're the partner, we're watching our partner open up in this way and it's not with us. So that can be very confronting. So it's understanding what's going on for sure. And I think something that's very important and very supportive is what I call reconnection rituals.
Okay.
So you're going on a date, first date, whatever the thing is, we're going to do a thing before that and we have a thing after. And that can be sex. That can be like whatever is connective for you. Because again, it's reconnection. We're connecting. You're going to bring whatever that energy is now also into our relationship in whatever, again, ritual we've created. It can be a shared bath. It can be going for a long walk, watching the sunset. You get to decide what that is together, is what makes you feel vulnerable and connected with each other in that. And so you're sort of bookending these experiences. We have a touch point before, touch point after. It's also a tool, this is sort of a yes and to your question, but people who are exploring maybe erotic spaces with their partner, whether they're meeting other people or not, you have anchor behaviors is what I call them. Very, very similar to reconnection rituals.
Okay.
So we have an agreement that, a wink or a whatever specific thing, no matter where we are in the space or we're going to periodically check in, or we're always going to meet back by the water and check in with you. Something that we've agreed to that just anchors us back into our connection. We're connected. We're going to put our foreheads together and just breathe for 3 minutes, whatever that is, right? Yeah. Get creative, try different ones each time till you find what really hits. But that ritual, and it's a ritual. It's not a habit. It's not a routine. It's not something you can check out about and, okay, we did the thing. No, this is something you are in. It's ritualized. It's ceremonial. And again, you can make anything that.
Yeah.
It can be a walk, So, or you can really go all in and have crystals and the whole thing, like have at it. But defining that ritual, that reconnection ritual for yourself really can help support that consistency.
I love that so much. I feel calmer in my body hearing you say that, because I'm thinking of this is about, if you have a primary partner and you're exploring, it's still about us expanding our capacity for love, which is what I do believe that is available to us in this kind of exploration, is to expand our definition of love, expand our capacity for it, and to also come back together and be like, it started here. This is how I got safe enough to be able to explore, and reminding each other that is still incredibly valuable. And I still want this relationship. And I still, I'm so grateful to be in this partnership that allows us to do this sort of exploration.
And it applies whether you're hierarchical or non-hierarchical,
Correct,
because you can reconnect, and ideally you're reconnecting with each of your partners at any given time, right? Yeah. It's that intentionality, because the Esther Perel, I'm going to butcher one of her more famous quotes, but that idea that love needs that consistency, that known that we were talking about earlier, but desire needs distance, the unknown, the novelty. Yes. So how to maintain that long term is having a little bit of both. And I'm not saying the only way to experience novelty in a long-term relationship is open up your relationship. There's a lot of space between that. Yeah. But it's understanding that ritual connection, ritualized, is such a supportive practice. It gives you that structure, especially when you're opening up into this new territory that can very easily to your nervous system feel like anything's possible, which often a lot of people do. Unfortunately, they've not created any agreements. They're just like, well, we're open, so we can do anything. Right? That's horrifying to your nervous system. That is really, really intense. And it doesn't need to be like that.
Right.
Well, I would say, interestingly enough, having those parameters of those quote unquote limitations actually makes you feel more free. And my perspective, because Foster's asked me, sleep with men, sleep with trans women, please no cis women. Okay, great, understandable. Got it. Unless it's with us together. Okay. But on my own, no. And it has freed me up in such a way that I feel so much more clear. And then to go back to your point about the desires part of it, not because she's the cis woman, but because when I'm going out there, I am still committing to the agreement that her and I have seeing eye to eye on. I still feel like I'm honoring and cherishing her.
Yeah.
And then when I turn to her and I see her again, I'm like, oh, I missed her so much because she's home, because she's mine. Not mine in the possession, but like because she's like, aside
She's
from
choosing to be here with me, and that brings me a lot of joy.
Thank you for the correction. Yeah, and my familiarity, my safer space, the little kid in me who can feel very safe in her hands. That realization got me there deeper than ever. My previous relationships before, if I was being open, when it was always a sort of like we would just drift apart a little bit. And I was worried that this might happen at some point. But instead, following the same guidelines on which we agree has made me feel more free than I've ever felt before.
Boundaries give us freedom. They're not limitations if they're agreements. So the easiest way I break down the difference between boundaries, rules, and agreements. Boundaries are about me. Rules are about you. Agreements are about we, like a shared boundary for the relationship that we, you know what? Because there's a difference between you're not allowed to date cis women and, hey, I'm noticing I feel a lot less comfortable with this. How do you feel about that? You know what? I can honor that as a boundary. Totally. Great.
Yeah.
If you're going into opening up with, I don't want any rule, whatever terminology you're using, I don't want any rules, I just want to be able to, go with the flow and see whatever, then you're not interested in opening up your relationship. You're interested in being single and exploring other forms of relating. Opening up a relationship is creating boundaries, agreements for the relationship to sustain it in this growth phase. That is very, very different than I want to explore polyamory or what have you on my own, regardless of how my partner feels. Very, very, very different.
Yeah.
Neither is like good or bad, but just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, exactly. I have a listener question. So this one says, within the last few years, I got divorced and also came out as queer. In my time being single, I realized that polyamory is something I desire and I believe in for myself. Queer sex is new to me and I want to have a lot of experiences. However, I have recently started dating someone seriously, and whenever the conversation about polyamory comes up, I get flooded with jealousy at just the idea of this person being on a date with anyone else. It completely overwhelms me like I want to throw up. And it makes me think maybe polyamory isn't for me. What do I do with all these feelings?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, that's so common. Like, oh, I couldn't do poly because I get jealous. Polyamorous folks experience jealousy. It's just another emotion. So first of all, good on you for knowing that's what's happening. You've already identified where it is in your body. It makes me nauseous. I want to puke. There's a process I've created that I currently call Nerd Out on Jealousy. It's NERDOUT. It's a process to learn how to use jealousy as the data that it is. And it's really an extrapolation on a mindfulness technique called RAIN. But it's really just bringing you into your body because you're in a lot of story, right? That's where the flooding is happening. You're assigning all this meaning. Your nervous system is activated. It's a massive threat. Again, hungry lion in a cage, doesn't know the difference. And identifying where is it in my body? What is the sensation? Is it good, bad, neutral? Does it have any qualities? Spicy, tangy, sharp, bubbly? Like what does it really get into the physical lived experience of it, which it sounds like this person already is doing. You're now getting into that presence with that discomfort. Right? Now we can start investigating what are the stories I'm telling associated with this. This is a very abridged version. But you can really start separating the clown, the archetypes that we're bringing up and what is it keying into? Which type of jealousy am I dealing with? Am I in insecurities? Is it bringing up my insecurities? Fear of abandonment? What is that? Do the work with your jealousy first and know that if you are building relationship with somebody, ideally it's a container where you can bring this to that person of like, hey, I've identified this. This is what's happening for me. Like we're okay, but I'm not feeling okay. I would like these types of, extra affirmation. Again, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
Can we try that while I'm managing this? Are you available for that? Practicing it is what creates the relationship with both the jealousy and deepens. This is why I say it's such an unused, untapped resource for building trust and intimacy. There is nothing more vulnerable than being like, I am like, ah,
Yeah.
and the person being like, okay. And just being there with you in that, not trying to fix anything, not trying to like, oh, you need more verbal affirmation. I am totally available for that. I will make sure to, is there anything specific that makes you feel really good? Do you want more back rubs? Do you want some physical affection as well? Really getting curious about it together rather than trying to avoid it for yourself or pushing the discomfort onto your other partner. Now you're in the practice of jealousy. And I will tell you, if you start showing up like that for yourself, you're deepening your own capacity for discomfort, which extends your capacity for growth. You're deepening that trust in the relationship. Oh, I brought my person this mess that I've considered myself.
Yeah.
And they're still here.
Yeah.
That's how you build trust.
That's awesome.
You don't build trust by saying, I don't like how I feel when you do that, so you can't do that.
Exactly.
That's control does not build trust. It erodes trust actively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My follow-up question is, this person said that their relationship is new.
Mm-hmm.
And does that play a factor in whether or not now is the right time for them to open up? Or like, do they need to be more stable and secure in that relationship first?
Couple angles I want to address on that. So I get this question a lot too, of like, when do I bring up that I'm interested in this thing if I'm already aware I'm interested in it? Like date one. Like you talk about like, why would you can't build a foundation on if you're not revealing the whole landscape. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a secure foundation. And that's a very easy way to figure out who your people are or not, because people are going to react completely differently. It has nothing to do with you as long as that's your truth and where you're at. It enables you to align much more effectively and efficiently with your people. But in regards to like new too soon, it depends on the quality of relationship you want to build. Is this very important to you? There's different ways to bring it up and manners to bring it up based on how long you've been together and stuff as well. But if this is real and like personal for the person and they want to build this into their foundation, again, opening up can mean 1,000 different things.
Right.
It doesn't mean, anarchy. like it's, what are you interested in exploring? I want to be able to talk about it right now. I just want to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to have that conversation, get curious, see how we feel. Is it a turn on or not? Is it bringing up stuff that's useful for us to work on independently and with ourselves? Like finding your edge. We talked about it a little bit. Our boundaries are what give us freedom, because boundaries aren't walls. Boundaries are just the edges of our comfort zone. They're actually designed to be pushed consensually and in a safe container in order to grow. Now you get to decide what level, and I wouldn't advise pushing all of them at the same time. But that's why I find, you know what? I notice jealousy when I think about you as somebody else. Can we like talk about that? Can we play with like fantasy around that? Can we do a little role play? So many options, right?
That is why I really believe in that. And there's something that's always been in the back of my head that I don't know if I ever said to you, which is that I think the boundaries around the gender for us have just been my initial boundaries in order to tiptoe into the world where I feel like I am not comparing myself to the man you're sleeping with. I have so much anatomy that's different. I can take this slowly, but I don't know that never women for you or never men for me. Would be your boundary, but like is off the table. It's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah, right now is a very useful term when you're in relationship of any kind with anyone.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that part. Yes. You haven't shared that with me. You definitely have not told me that part. Yeah.
And our session begins.
Wait, I have more questions. Hold on. Okay. So we'll get to it. Okay. So
I love your giggle that moment. It was so good just now.
All right. So for the person listening who's like, ethical consensual non-monogamy, however you want to phrase it, polyamory, it's not for me. But I'm in a consensually monogamous relationship, and I want to know what the ideas about polyamory and non-monogamy can do for my relationship. How does knowing about this help me?
Maybe the terminology is triggering, right? So let's remove, what can polyamory teach me? What can relationship design? Modern relationship design. Because think about it. We design everything in our lives. Our wardrobe, our workout plan, our office layout, our living room. Everything has a design, except the single most important or important relationships or relationship in our lives. It's the biggest indicator for our health and longevity. It's a massive financial decision. And we treat it with no design intention whatsoever.
Yeah.
It just should work. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Actually,
the definition of insanity. Literally the definition of insanity. So, good news, relationship is a skill set. You can get better at it. Yeah. But treating it like a skill set. So whatever structure you want that supports your relationship style, say it's consensual monogamy in this instance, all of the skills are the same. Expanding that capacity for discomfort. I assure you, a monogamous structure does not prevent accidental injury, emotional injury to each other. It does
Sure.
not prevent discomfort. It's easier to kind of slide that stuff under the rug and not address it because it's the socially prescribed norm. Anytime there's like a sort of script that's given to us, it's very easy to, quite frankly, get lazy. Like, oh, I don't have to bring that up. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to, no, rock the boat. That's how you learn how to sail. Like, you've got to find those edges and make sure that you are in constant conversation, as it is a relationship. You haven't arrived anywhere.
Yeah.
So things like, first of all, stop blaming yourself if jealousy comes up. It's just, would you blame yourself for confusion or anger or joy or any other of the myriad wonderful kaleidoscope of emotions that we have access to? It's just an emotion. It's just data.
Yeah.
Learn how to use jealousy as data, and again, as a tool for deeper intimacy and trust. That's a big one. Understanding yourself, your actual needs, and additionally, knowing how to speak to them.
Yeah.
So knowing what you need and want in a relationship, sexually, emotionally, financially, all the things that go into building whatever type of relationship you want. Know what you need and know how to speak to it. The biggest one for me is being with your discomfort. If there is nothing else that you can take away, learning to manage discomfort will improve your entire life, not just
True.
your romantic relationships.
True.
Just learning to practice that. It's so key. And I think another one too is change is okay. And that doesn't mean the structure of your relationship necessarily, but allow your partner to surprise you. You don't know them. You will never know all of them. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Allow them to surprise you. That's part of what, can keep that novelty available. Try new things together. Understand that your relationship takes active nurturing. If you want something to work for you, you need to work for it. That doesn't mean like a full-time job. You set systems in place that bring greater ease to this thing called relationship. It's just a skill set.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
How would I know what fits for me if I'm having thoughts, if I'm a single person, I'm having these thoughts, or if I'm in a relationship? These thoughts come up for me of maybe wanting to open the relationship up or seek somebody who feels that way. But then there's that other version of me that feels like, wait, no, that feels too complicated. It feels like it's too much to carry, too much to juggle. How do I find what fits for me?
Funny, you should ask. I've created a free quiz called My Relationship Style quiz. So you can go to myrelationshipstyle.com, and it helps people very, I would say easy but confronting 10 questions. And it's designed to help you understand where you fall on, again, my 2-plane. I love a 4-quadrant expression of something.
It's
we talked about
great.
it. Just breaks it down really
Yeah.
easy. Or I should say with ease, maybe not easy. But so if you think of your emotional needs and your sexual needs, because we quite often conflate the two, but they're actually two different sets of needs. And you could have a different need emotionally for exclusivity as you do for sexual needs, right? So if you think of one plane as the emotional needs and the other plane as your sexual needs, and the variant is exclusivity, that will break it down into 4 quadrants of exclusivity, high or low, and within that of sexual and emotional. And so I've designed this quiz to help you understand where you fall in one of those 4 relationship styles. You'll get your very comprehensive pleasure-led relationship profile after you take the quiz, and that will show you what relationship structures could support this style, what the common roadblocks are if you're, dating or you're looking to transition a relationship into a new structure, the way to have this conversation if you are partnered, and really, really important tips like that. And again, myrelationshipstyle.com, but I hope you're asking these questions because one size does not fit all. Quite frankly, we're seeing it fits not very many.
Exactly.
Which again, I want to be really specific. Monogamy, consensual, informed monogamy can serve people.
Yes.
What we're doing right now and calling monogamy is not serving most people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to reach out to you, what's the best place to find you?
I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on all the platforms. My website is passport2pleasure.com, and that's the number 2. And that's my handle everywhere. You can also find me personally on Instagram at Ally Iseman. But yeah, my website has all the goods.
Perfect. So everyone stay tuned for next week when we go into our coaching session with Ally. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very
Pleasure.
much.
If this episode spoke to you, take a moment and send it to someone else who might need it. That's the best way to spread these conversations to the people who need them the most. And if you want to keep exploring with us, make sure to follow Beauty in the Break wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.
Beauty in the Break is created and hosted by Foster Wilson and Cesar Cardona.
Our executive producer is Glenn Milley. Original music by Cesar and the Clue.